morning. Everyone finished with your lunch already? Enough? More than enough, okay. I was a bit worried after I saw how much the monks were taking. So anyway, today we've been celebrating something quite special, being the recent birthday from Brother Sam. And it's also always a good time of reflecting about life in general, isn't it? Because life starts with birth. Have you been born? Yes. You've been born? Everyone here has been born. Some of us quite long time ago, some of us more recent. But it's something that unites all of humanity. Not just humanity, even including animals, they also have been born. So then, how do we, as a society, as a community, how do we treat that very special event when a child, a baby is born? We celebrate. Quite naturally, we celebrate because wonderful, another family member. And then the whole chain of suffering starts. Birth is the cause of aging, sickness, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. None of this could happen without birth, isn't it? And then at the very end of life comes death. Death would also not happen without birth. Yes. Cannot what? Occupate? Yeah. If no birth, you cannot cultivate, you don't need to cultivate your mind because there's no problem. No need to cultivate what you want to cultivate. What's the benefit of cultivation just for its own sake? We need to cultivate the mind in order to solve a problem. Spiritual and mental cultivation is not just for its own sake. It's for the sake of reducing suffering, isn't it? That's why we need to deal with life, with all the challenges that life throws at you. You need to deal with that. That's why we train the mind with mindfulness, wisdom, patience, forgiveness. We need all those qualities. Why? Because of birth. Because we are born, we have a life, and all the different forms of dukkha will come to us just naturally, just on account of being around. So if there's no birth, you can still try to cultivate, but there's no need, because there's no problem to solve. If you're not sick, would you take medicine? No, I don't need medicine. But if I'm sick, yeah, I have a good reason to take medicine. So if there's no suffering, of course, also no need to cultivate anything. If you have no suffering, no issue, then why cultivate? Why make effort? But because surely enough, sooner or later, life will have plenty of suffering for everyone. So therefore, we do need to cultivate the mind. But all these problems start with birth. In fact, we celebrate at the time of birth. But if we actually understand deeply the relationship between the birth and suffering, maybe we should not celebrate at birth, you know. We celebrate at birth and then when somebody dies, we cry. Maybe it should be the opposite. Or maybe just being equanimous is also okay. But then we've all accomplished birth, we have succeeded in that. So then what to make out of life? Quite naturally, we want to give our life meaning, isn't it? We want to do something, not just to our own benefit, maybe that also, but maybe also to the benefit of others, to society. And then as we age, we develop a career, maybe a family. So these are all ways of cementing or leaving behind something, a legacy, building something up. That's also important. So then in which ways can we leave something behind? Because an average life nowadays, what is the average life expectancy? How old does the average man become this time around? 70 years? 73 maybe? The average woman becomes a bit older, huh? I've heard all kinds of theories why men have to die earlier, because they're working so hard. We don't know. So, but usually in the 70s, the average, yeah, some people become 80 or 90, 100 plus, they drink. Some die quite young. You can be 34, get cancer, and already pass away. But in average, let's say around 70. So then, at that time also naturally the question, how did I spend my life? What did I do with my life around here? Or maybe the more interesting question, what will I be remembered for? What will people remember or say about me after I'm gone? What do you think for you? What will people say about you after you pass away? Or at the bereavement service, at the funeral, when somebody comes out and gives a speech, what will they say about you? What do you want to be remembered for? It's actually an interesting question, isn't it? And often We spend a lot of time in our life to develop a career, earn a lot of money, or get well known or famous, or whatever it is where we put 90% of our effort. But most likely, these are not the kind of things that people will say at your funeral. Oh yeah, she has built 3 houses, or he has 2 cars, he has so-and-so much money on the bank account. We never hear that at the funeral, right? So what do people say? What do we remember of our dear family members and friends? Oh, she was a very caring person. Sometimes we hear that. Or she was always helping whenever the family needed something. She would always help out. She was very industrious. She is able to manage anything. Always organizing, being always around, being there for each other. These qualities are what we remember from each other. Or he never became angry. It's amazing. He had such a difficult life, but we never saw him very angry. Just, wow, amazing. But then how much time of your life do you spend cultivating these qualities, the good qualities that we want to be remembered for, and how much time are we wasting or spending with things that are quite irrelevant, that according to our own value system are not so important? Or it could be maybe you want to be remembered. Oh, she was able to spend 12 hours a day on Facebook and Instagram. Sadhu. So because we also want to leave something behind, isn't it? So we want to be remembered, at least for a while. For how long will we be remembered actually after our death? How many generations do we know? So you can think of yourself. Do you still remember your parents, your grandparents? Probably yes. Great-grandparents? Do you remember them? Your own great-grandparents? Maybe only very briefly had some contact, maybe from the pictures, maybe you can recognize. Even your own grandparents. Your children might already not know them anymore. Your own children might not even know them. Your grandchildren have no idea about your grandparents. It's just 3 generations, basically, where we know each other and remember anything. How much do you know about the life of your great-grandfather? Tell me 3 things. Of a whole life, we remember almost nothing. Isn't that amazing? And there were many generations before us. Same, huh? Who cares? So now we take our life so important. But then on the larger scale of things, it's not so important. Individually, yes, it is. But the impact on later generations is quite small. So then we already understand intuitively, okay, we cannot live on forever, right? It's not possible. But then maybe there are other ways. Maybe there's another way of living on. Well, many of you have children, isn't it? You have a boy, a girl, you have children. Of course, personally, you cannot live on, but you can pass something on to the next generation. Not just the genes, but also your views, your perspectives, your virtue or lack thereof, your generosity, the good qualities. We can instill them, hopefully, to some degree, in the younger generation, and in that way, something carries over from you to the next generation. We know we cannot live on forever, but then some of your own good traits, of course also the not so good traits, can be passed on and will be passed on through the next generation. And that's why we care so much about our children. So it's not a coincidence. Yes, we love, we care for them, but it's also indirectly for ourselves to leave something behind or someone behind. But then, of course, as I said earlier, it's not only with the good qualities, isn't it? Yes, we may be remembered, but then if we treat our children not so well, then there are always cases, it's not uncommon, people have childhood memories or maybe even childhood trauma. If the parents were mistreating their children or abusing their children, that can also leave long-lasting memories, but not the good ones. So in that sense, yes, we leave something behind, but it's also important that we leave behind good memories and good conduct and instill that in the next generation. So it's a big responsibility, isn't it? Having children, grandchildren, same. Because in the end, what we want is we want to exist. In Buddhism, we call it bhavatanha, craving for existence. There's also kamatanha, craving for sense pleasures. That will lead to sense pleasure enjoyment and reborn in the sense sphere, or maybe in the human plane, or as a hungry ghost, or as a deva. But then with more spiritual cultivation, You can be reborn in a form plane or formless plane of existence. Much longer lifespans, more enjoyable, but still impermanent. But it's still a form of existence. So whether you're up or down in this whole samsara, it's still a form of existence. We want to exist, we want to be. It's very deeply ingrained in us. We don't want to cease. But then, is it really so bad to cease? Actually, to some degree, every night, you cease for a while, don't you? Every time you go to bed, before you sleep, your current life stops. And then you close your eyes and you're out of it. And wake up 7 hours later, 6 hours, 8 hours, you know nothing about what has happened in between. Your normal life, as you knew it, has ceased for that interim period while we sleep. Yes, there might be some crazy dreams going on from time to time, but they're quite different from our normal life. So basically, to some degree, you can say every night we die a little death, and then we get rebooted again, and back. So when we say cessation of life, how bad would it be? We could reflect. What if one time I go to bed and then I never wake up? Would you feel you're missing out? Would you feel that person who doesn't wake up, does he have a lot of suffering because he's not alive anymore? We're not speaking about rebirth. Let's say just passing away and lights out and never come on again. Is there any suffering? No, because there's no experience. There is no happiness, no suffering, it's all gone. Will the person have the feeling, I'm missing out, I don't see my children grow up, or my grandchildren? Will that be his or her intuition? No, right? Because there's no consciousness, there's no experience. So you're not missing anything. It's only now, in our normal life, we say, no, I don't want to be gone. I want to see how the future unfolds. I want to see what happens to my children, my grandchildren, my family. But then, if you're really gone, it's not a problem anymore. So in that sense, let's say, dying or entering Pradinibbana is not so bad, isn't it? Because it's the cessation of existence, and then you don't suffer. There's no problem. No cultivation either. Not needed anymore. So don't worry. So normally, when we say, oh, do you want to cease to exist? Most people will say no. But then, if you reflect on it, it's actually not so bad. In fact, there is nothing bad. Because what ceases is this normal day-to-day experience with all its ups and downs. How often do you want to come back? Is life only happiness all the time? Sometimes it can be quite fun. Making a new video for Instagram and it can be quite enjoyable. But then there are also difficulties, isn't it? You have to deal with other people all the time, and family members, and on the workplace, and with the monks. And that's the worst. So life comes with suffering. But then the samsara, death is not the end of it. So then after death, you have another birth. Okay, different location, another game. You play, again, die, another game, play. So this whole samsara is like a video game that never ends. Suppose you were to play a video game. Most of the people like to play video game. But then there's just one catch. You're never allowed to stop. You have to keep playing on and on and on. No break, no stopping, just keep playing. You want to go to the toilet? No, you keep playing. You want to eat? No, you keep playing. It's not going to be enjoyable for long. And then after a while, you've seen all the different levels, you've been up and down, you've seen all the creatures in that video game, all the different challenges that the game had prepared for you. But then, I don't want to play anymore. I've played so long already. No, you keep playing. This is samsara. Samsara is exactly like that. You have to come back for more, even though new figures around, new challenges, but it's just the same thing. So there comes a point in time where a practitioner realizes, thank you, I've seen enough. I want to get out of this game. It's not, and you're not even trying to reach the next level anymore. How can they stop this game? This becomes the actual game. It's like a hamster or a mouse on a wheel, running at full speed, getting tired, but still running and running, but it's not getting anywhere. The wheel is still here. It's not moving forward. So in this way, we live our lives, making a lot of effort, the work, family life, but not really getting to the end of it. You never reach the destination where you say, I've achieved everything. How many of you have achieved everything you ever wanted to achieve in your life? We have some accomplishments, we have achieved some things, but it's never finished. You're never done. Doesn't matter how nice the family is, how big house we have, how much languages you've learned, how many music instruments. There's always something more the mind wants. There's no end. So there comes a time where we don't anymore strive for more. We strive for getting out, an escape, an ending of this whole cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death. But before we get there, we want to be known. We want to leave something behind. So this craving for existence is so strong. Even though we know our life is short as a human being, we still want to leave something behind. So we do that in different ways, right? Earlier we said we can leave behind offspring, children, which will leave behind your legacy in a certain way. Also accomplishment on the workplace. You can build something, build a company, a whole imperium. You can do that. So maybe then for 2, 3, 5 generations, people might remember your name. Maybe a bit more than the average person. On the opposite side, maybe you don't try to be famous through positive accomplishments. But we also know some names, they are quite well remembered. For example, we have famous scientists on the positive side, Thomas Edison. Oh, it's quite long ago already, but we still remember him. But then also on the negative side, people will be remembered for building the atomic bomb, for a nuclear bomb. Yeah, okay. You will be remembered for a long time. Or the people who drop the first nuclear bomb at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Yeah, we will remember that. But is this the kind of imprint, quite literally an imprint, we would want to make? Probably not. So it's not only important to leave something behind. If we do leave something behind, it should be of value, isn't it? It should be of benefit to society, not just being known for something, even if it's something trivial or unwholesome. Or maybe it's not even so important to leave anything behind. Just not causing harm. That's already a good start. If you live a life, you not cause any harm to other beings, to an environment, to nature, that's a good start already. Sometimes I remember when I was still a layperson back home in Austria, and I was living together with my spouse in an apartment on the 4th floor. And so once a week, twice a week, we go to buy groceries and bring it back to our apartment. And yeah, then every couple of days, maybe almost every day, I remember, we have to bring down the rubbish to the rubbish bins outside. And every time I say to myself, how is that possible? We're just 2 people living together. You have no children, just 2 people living together. How can it be that every day I have to carry out a rubbish bag this size, 3 foot high, with plastic and wrappings and all kinds of things? It's amazing. So the impact on nature, on the environment, with all the waste that we produce, just by living in our modern society. Often I think back about that. Because nowadays, as a monk, when I live in my kuti, back in Taiping, I also have a rubbish bag there. And it's there in the corner of the room. Just a small plastic bag. And every 2 weeks, I take it out. It's not even completely full. Maybe some tissue paper or some other papers. And I throw it out. That's all the rubbish I produce in 2 weeks. I'm very delighted about this. I can see, my life does not cause any harm to the environment, to nature. It's very simple. So even that is something we can delight in. It's not about achieving something great. Let me not have at least a negative impact on others, on the environment, other human beings, not even on animals. I think that is a good aspiration already. Are there any other ways how we can leave something behind? What are other ways how we leave something behind for the next generation? Maybe writing books, or giving lectures, or making YouTube videos. These are all ways how we want to be remembered. There are ways how we can be remembered for future generations. But then none of that will make us long-lasting happiness, will provide happiness for a long time. So this sense of being, of not being forgotten, is very deep in us, isn't it? And it all starts with birth. If you take the larger picture into account, sometimes when you look up to the stars, into the universe, we realize how small we are, how trifling these human beings. We don't even have to go up to the stars. So sometimes when you fly, if you happen to take a plane somewhere and you look down, I really enjoy that. And you see these villages down there, the houses, and all these people have their own little lives, right? Their dreams, their challenges, their lifestyle, they're driving with the car to work and back, just as we do. It's just amazing. But then, from your perspective up on the plane, how important would you say is everyone's life? Of course, every life counts and is important for the individual, but for the large picture, well, if that house were not there, I wouldn't miss it, right? So in the same way, the universe, even if you're not around, the universe would not miss you. Maybe a few family members around, or a few friends, but then on the larger scale, the universe doesn't care. I find that a very uplifting thought. I find it actually quite positive, because we make such a big deal out of our life, of how we are seen by others, what others may think, what we do. It's not such a big deal. You live your life in a wholesome way, in a way that is beneficial to you, your close surroundings. That's good enough. Don't worry about the whole world, because the whole world also doesn't worry about you. We think everybody looks at us and we are so important. Actually, we are just like, I never know the word. When they make a movie, and then you have the main actor, and then in the background you have some, how do you call it, props? Some background props. They're doing some conversations in the background. The camera is not even sharp. You cannot even see the caliphate. So in fact, we are all caliphate. We are all props in other people's life. That's what we are, you know? You think you're so important. No. Everyone, their own life is the most important. And you are props in the background moving. It's like if you play Sims, the video game, so you move around with your character and the others are just caliphate in the background. So I find that thought very uplifting, because it takes a lot of pressure from our own life, from taking ourselves so importantly. You do something good, nice for you. Sometimes you screw up, you make a mistake, you stumble over something, you drop something, or you do something rude and then people complain. The universe doesn't care that much, right? The stars are still doing the same, the planet is moving the same way. Anybody looking down from a plane, whether you have eaten too much from the cake or not, nobody cares really in the end. So not taking ourselves so importantly. No, I'm not saying our life or decisions don't matter. For you, yourself, they do matter a lot. Because our choices determine or predict our future. Our wholesome actions will lead to outcome in a positive, in a wholesome, in a pleasant environment. Our own unwholesome actions or lack of mindfulness will lead to crying, to suffering. You might stumble or run into something. So in this way, our choices, our intentions matter a lot. So yeah, just earlier we said, life is happiness. Yeah, look, life is also crying, running into a table, falling to the ground. That's how it starts, you know, that's the best time that you have. Often when we think of children, we think, oh, their life is so easy, right? Well, it's not so easy. Nothing, you cannot look after yourself. It depends on others. Still, everything has to be shown to us. It's not that easy. Maybe when we think back, oh, I want to be a child again, have no responsibilities, just playing. But then also many things happen. So life starts, what is the first thing that a baby does at the time of birth? Cry. That's the first thing you do, your first experience, crying. I want to go back into my mother, please. Of course, we cannot do that. And then it continues, of course. And then we have some good moments. Yes, we have some joys, some pleasures, and then also suffering. Because whatever good we experience, we want to hold on to it. We want to conserve it. We want to keep it. We don't want to lose it. So that's already the cause of suffering. Craving, clinging. So then, now we're back to our computer and video game. It's like this computer game that never ends. Just have to. So when we celebrate a person's birthday, this is also the story we should have in mind. Not only how nice to have that person with us, but also, well, birth is the cause for suffering. Without birth, there would be no need to do cultivation. There would be no need to suffer. Or just having to think, having another birth, and then having to go to school again, having to learn mathematics again at school, Another time, because you cannot bring your memory along, right? Or back in the days, I had to learn French. 5 years, they wanted me to learn French language. I better get enlightened and liberated quickly. And then you grow up, become 13, 14, fall in love for the first time. And then you're disappointed for one reason or another. Didn't work out the way you wanted. All of that again and again, really, all that trauma, all the difficulties, friendships, family. And then finally you're retired. You think now you'll enjoy retirement. And then there also comes with its own suffering, isn't it? So we already think in the future. It's almost like my life has never started. My life starts maybe in 5 years, in 10 years. Then I will be there where I really wanted to be. It almost feels like we're just preparing for real life. And then you're 20. No, not yet there. Maybe in my 30s. That's when I have everything in place. Then you're 30 or 50. Well, I'm still preparing. Real life has started long ago. Every day. That's the life you have. Don't wait for anything. It's not getting any better. The life we have now, every moment, that's how it is. So we should value it, use it well, use the time skillfully for whatever you deem wholesome, beneficial, but also not making too much of a pressure. Remember, the whole universe. You care for yourselves, but we are props in the eyes of others. Not so important what others think, what others do, because they don't care too much anyway. Sometimes when we think back about the plans that we had when we were 20 or 25, do you still remember what you were thinking at that time? What you will do later in life? How will your career look like, or your family life? Where will you live? How will you live? You still have that idea in mind back when you were 20? Then now I ask you, for how many of you did it work out exactly like that, the way you planned it? Raise your hand. Nobody. I've asked this question to many people, and it's always the same answer. Almost never anyone raises their hand. The way we plan our life never unfolds like that. It's not because, well, it's unpredictable. There's so many conditions and influences that pulled you in different directions. It's not only that we didn't get what we wanted. Sometimes our plans change. We don't want the same thing anymore. The thing I thought when I was 14 I want to do with my life, I wouldn't want that now anymore. So it's not only that life didn't fulfill my wishes have also changed. And it's maybe not a bad thing, right? We don't want to be the same person as we were 20 years ago. Yeah, maybe externally, some people might think, oh, I want to look like 20. But then internally, would you like to feel the way you felt when you were 20, 25? Maturity or lack thereof, the way you looked and understood the world, the way you relate in relationships, either family or business or whatever. I think we have learned a lot over a lifetime. I don't want to be 16 anymore. So also we value seniority, we value age. Not age for its own sake, but if age comes with maturity, with wisdom, with life experience, these are the things which we can pass on to the next generation, to our family, to our friends, if they're interested. So this is something of value, how we can contribute, even in our old age. In fact, nowadays, as a grandparent, if you're in their 50s or 60s, wow, that way we can still contribute to our children, grandchildren, because often we are more free than the youngsters who have to run to work every day, many hours. Family life, work life, maybe hobbies, no time anyway. I think humans, I've heard, are almost the only species where we live far beyond our reproductive age. Typical woman, how old can you have children? Depends. Maybe in that range? Actually, even after 40, you better get moving. If you have not children yet, better get busy because not much time left. But then let's be generous. 55, no, it's a bit high already. Can happen. Okay, who of you, no, I'm not asking. Let's say 50, but earlier we said our life expectancy is 70 and 70 plus. This is very unusual among other species. There is no other primate species, not to speak of insects or anything, where they far outlive their reproductive age. Once you cannot have children anymore, you're out of the gene pool, you can also pass away. There is no other species that maintains their elderly for so many years, even though they cannot produce offspring anymore. So why is it for humans different? Because as a human being, you are still valuable to society, to your family, maybe even more on some levels, or at least comparatively, even to a younger person. Not because you can produce a lot of offspring, but because you can help, guide, support your own children's children, the next generation. So in this way, we still contribute until you can be a very meaningful member until your 80s, 90s, and beyond. You see here, our sewing team. No, we're not all in our 20s anymore. I've seen the pictures, the videos. But yet, you're contributing, we are supporting, we are joining in, and we bring value to our communities. So this is not limited at all to the young generation. It's actually in those 50s, 60s where we often have more time. Not just time, also more wisdom to know what is important, what is not important. And we don't have the time to waste anymore with useless things, as maybe a person in their 20s or 30s might be more willing to do. So it's actually quite special as a human being that we can contribute, support our family, our friends, even until old age. It's also something to cherish. So then what is the right answer to birth? Should we jubilate? Should we celebrate? Or should we lament when a child is born? You can see it from both directions, right? Of course it's okay to celebrate when a child is born. But then also good to be aware, with birth comes aging, comes sickness, sorrow, lamentation, pain, sickness, despair. All of that will come with birth as a cause. So once you sign up for birth, you sign up also for all the rest. So you're entitled to the whole list of suffering which comes with birth. If you don't want it anymore, you have to strive for Nibbana. That's the only way out. Making Samsara a better place, this is what many people try. Making Samsara more comfortable, more comfy, more soft, more enjoyable. We have air-conditioned rooms, we have soft couches, but it still will be plenty of suffering and dukkha for everyone. So the true solution, the final solution, is getting out of Samsara. I offer that for your reflection today. Any questions or comments? Sorry for destroying your birthday party, Sam. With bringing the gloomy perspective from the Buddha about birth, aging and death. What was the other term you liked so much? The props in the background? Caliphate, what does that mean? Extra accessories. Yeah, right. Just to be there in the picture. I find that perspective really nice because it takes away the pressure. Oh, I'm so important. Oh, everybody's looking at me. No, nobody taking care so much. Just live your life simply. Do what is best for you, for your family, for your friends. You can have a positive impact, but don't take yourself so important. So it takes away pressure from oneself. Then I wish you all the best and see you again next time. Let us also share merit with our departed relatives and friends and all beings. Let us recite together. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang no nyatinang tayo. Idang vo nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Ettavata ca amhehi sampatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. And lastly, let us also make an aspiration so that all the good karma we have accumulated will also support us on the path to liberation towards Nibbana. Please repeat after me. Idang me punyang asavakaya vahang hotu. Idang me punyang nibbanasa paccaya hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.